you'll find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, folks. Today, I want to talk about my alt at 5.7 million. Actually, it's 5.8 million GP account, but I made the thumbnail, and then I upgraded some things, and now it's 5.8. So, the thumbnail is a lie, like cake, and we are trying to still discuss this account, because nothing's really changed, just a number on GP, but the thing is, we're going to be placed into Kyber, which means at 5.7, I'm required to put 11 teams on defense, 11 teams on offense, and we're going to discuss how that happens. We're going to talk about how to do that on Prevail Man as well, my other alt account, and that's going to be on a different video, though, like released a little bit later today, so we can focus on what it means to be mid-range, at least in terms of this roster. Now, a thing about this roster is I focused on really trying to do low relics on everyone. The ones that I have high relics on are because they're unlock characters. Otherwise, it's relic 0, relic 1, stuff like that. And it was to game the matchup GP. So I only have one galactic, one galactic legend on this account and no executor. We're working on executor right now, but so I'm going to actually do a different video later on trying to optimize this account, trying to get some relics on there, what characters should be kind of filled out a little bit, like should Padme get more, or should she stay the same, etc. But I mean, obviously that's not the scope of this particular one. I will say though, this account has had a lot of success. I've made it into top 10 on this account, I believe 8 different times, and most of those times were in the top 5, and with a couple of them at number 2. So for my level of preparedness on this account, the amount of time I take to spend on this account, it's pretty decent results, I would say. My final record is going to be something, at least in this era of GAC, is going to end up being something like 322-8. Didn't even lose 10 matches while we were playing this style of GAC. So this is an account that operates at a very high level in a certain specific circumstance, and so we're going to have a more robust roster than a lot of people will have at this level, but perhaps not as top heavy. It won't have as many galactic legends, etc., as you might expect. So let's see. One last thing we want to show here, guys, that and by we I mean just me. I don't mean to lie here to you guys. Or do I? No, I want to show you guys. Okay, so Kyber, my account is at 5.8 right now, so I'll be in Kyber 4 to start off with, and maybe I'll get kicked down to the curb that is Erodium. But to start with, we're going to be in Kyber, and Kyber, if you scroll down just a little bit, Kyber requires 11 squads on offense, or on defense, and at least 11 teams on offense to be able to clear them. So I'm going to show you guys 22 teams that I'm going to be using. I'll probably end up using at least 1 or 2 more. I'll tell you when I'm going to split them up, which teams I'm going to split up. I'm also going to be showing you guys, well, I'm sorry, not you guys, maybe some of you. If you want to sign up for my Patreon, I'm going to be posting like the actual offense and defensive splits for my accounts, and that'll be over the course of the next couple of weeks, but that will be part of our Patreon perks. So head on over to in the video description if you want to support this channel. Patreon starts at $5 and works its way up, so go check that out, folks. I'm currently accepting new people at every level. Woo! Advertising for myself feels actually pretty gross, but let's actually now go to the game and we'll play this. Well, I do want one last plug for myself. I'm feeling very selfish right now, but I do want to just remind you guys, if you want to support this channel for free, all you have to do is hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you don't plan on watching this channel ever again, even just hitting that sub button would really help me long term for the mounting of the algorithm that we are all collectively attempting to accomplish. We're trying to get this channel huge, and I really, really appreciate all of the support you guys have shown so far. Leave a comment in the comment area. Do all three of those things, and ding the bell if you are crazy. I've never dinged the bell on any channel, and I am just fine. Look at me. So, let's go to the game, shall we? Whoa, we're in the madness. Oh, we're on my alt. Oh, madness. All right. We're on the alt, and here are the teams, folks. So these teams, I'll talk about whether they're offense or defense, kind of. But the idea here is you play, at this level, I like to play hyper efficiently. Like, just get a ton of banners, go over the soft max, which is, like, the max would be, like, if you get 60 every time in 5v5. Like, if you get 60 on all 11 attacks, and then you get 66 in ships twice, that would be the soft max. The hard max would be if you got like a 64 on every attack, and a 72 on every fleet, which is very difficult to accomplish, of course. But the soft max, I usually can accomplish getting over the soft max by doing undersized squads, etc. And so a lot of my attention to these teams is going to be based on how efficient each team is going to be in a given circumstance. So we've got first Commander Luke and company. This team is a high-powered team in 5v5, and this is the best version of it, and it is almost always going to be an offensive team for me because they can take down so many different squads. They're really flexible. If you want to take down Galactic Legends, they can add, there's actually a few builds that they can take down as well, but otherwise they can take down like a surprising number of things, like General Grievous teams, though that can get messy. They can take down Jedi Training Rey teams, they can take down Padme teams for really high banners, and there's just a ton of different teams, like Jedi Revan teams. I keep saying the word teams, but you get the picture. They are extremely versatile, and they're a team that you can also undersize if you get the right opportunity. Just don't attack crew, like first order, you know, that team, like a crew team or a Hux team for that matter, because this is pure turn meter gain, and because of all of the debuffs that they give, crew just never dies if he's got relics. So really good team, one of my very favorites of all in the entire game, actually. Usually on offense, usually you just run the table and the opponent doesn't get a turn. This also takes down General Skywalker, which is a very important role to be going in. Mod them for tenacity. You guys can see, actually, there's a faction essentials I've done on Commander Luke teams. I'm probably going to redo that at some point, but there's too many other faction essentials I need to make first. Now, Jedi Training Rey, you can see this is kind of a weird, disproportionately like lopsided team. There's Relic 7 on R2 and Jedi Training Rey, then Gear 9 on BB-8 and the Hero Bros. Now, this team is still really good, even in this current iteration, because the team... Oh, excuse me. The team, it doesn't operate off of actual like raw damage. I mean, it's nice to have damage, but what you're really looking for is turn meter manipulation and being able to do crits on your opponent to be able to create exposes and then doing damage via expose, and Jedi Training Rey also applying a liberal dose of FU, you can't heal abilities. No, that's locked, you can't actually do anything. So she's Relic 7 because I needed to unlock Jedi Master Luke, and same with R2-D2, and the rest are that low because I didn't need them to unlock anyone yet. Might do that for Rey. I haven't decided which Galactic Legend I'm going for next after I get Executor on this account, but one way or another, this is the team that on offense can still get good banners because of the Grenade of Healing from Resistance Hero Finn. Yes, it would be better to have them at more gear, but it's not absolutely necessary, and I expect that if I keep this team on offense, though I might put it on defense some, if I keep it on offense, though, I expect I'll get a lot of 60s in this season. this Mon Mothma team, you can put Kyle Katarn here, and actually, I don't think, even at a pretty high or low gear level, I think Kyle Katarn's going to be good, as long as you can make him fast enough, just because UK gains that 30% turn meter. Now, the best version of this team, in my opinion, obviously you want relics and everything. I don't have that on this account. This is a smaller account, etc. But this is a good, if you can have Mothra be faster than everyone else, that's great. You can make Hoth Rebel Scout. It's not hard to make him fast, because he is just naturally really fast. He's actually faster than Cara Dune, in fact. So if you put a bunch of speed mods on Hoth Rebel Scout, get him relics, you can make him go super duper quick. Kyle Katarn is going to outpace all of them eventually, and the second he is available to farm, you should be farming Kyle Katarn to go on this team. Now, it can go on offense or defense, same with Jedi Training Rey, but this team, it just depends on what your comfort level is. You need to have Zetas on POW, both of them on Mothra, and then I think you can skip the Cara Dune one. I always forget which one that, but one way or another, like this is a good team, obviously, but it's like you can run the tables on them, get full turn meter. The thing is, a lot of people also struggle to beat it at this level on defense. I like to put this on defense just to trip people up, and sometimes it'll mess with people. If you want to do that, though, I would recommend making your Hoth Rebel Scout or Cara Dune extremely fast. If you want to keep them on offense, it's kind of more forgiving. And one way or another, it would be nice if you can have first turn on this team. It is very nice to be able to take down a lot of mid-range teams. You don't want to take down any teams that rely on healing mechanics, like any team with Barris. Like, this is death by not a million paper cuts, like death by almost at a deciliter of paper cuts, which is like kind of an Ender's Game reference, actually. If you guys understand where that's from, it's kind of funny, but I was just listening to that book, so you'll have that. If you want, let's just go on a tangent for 1 second. If you want insight onto what inspires me in terms of tactics, man, Ender's Game, one of the best books out there. But let's get back to the business here. So this team is death by a non-nillion, the number my 7-year-old's obsessed with, non-nillion paper cuts, because it is... no one does any individual damage. It's all just like collective, like let's just destroy this guy, slowly over time. And so, it'll take down a lot of teams. It'll even finish off some Galactic Legends, though I wouldn't expect this version with this low relics to be able to do that. So, enough time spent on Mothra. Honestly, she's interesting. All right, General Skywalker. This is a team that I like to place on defense if my opponent hasn't shown that they are able to deal with it. If they have a good Commander Luke team, then you probably don't want it on defense. If they have a Galactic Legend, however, and they're lazy and they don't know what to do with that Galactic Legend, a lot of times they'll use it on General Skywalker, and so I like to put them on defense sometimes. Also, however, if you have a Darth Revan team you need to counter, you don't have your own Darth Revan team, or you need that Darth Revan team for something else, then this is the team to take him out. This is not a good banners efficient team. Mothra is, General Skywalker and the 501st are not. Almost certainly, if they get one AoE off, you're going to get a 55 at most on this team. They have no protection recovery except for General Skywalker. Sometimes you get lucky. So this team, great on offense. You'll see it on offense for me quite a bit. As I said before, my offense tends to be kind of just over the top strong on offense. My defense kind of weak, and then we just out efficient our opponent. Now, this next group requires two different views. So right now I have my Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke team. They're clocked to be able to take down Supreme Leader Kylo teams, and so they're able to do that. Old Ben needs to be really fast. I have a video about that, about how this team counters Supreme Leader Kylo. I think it's something that, like, Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke still counters Supreme Leader Kylo. It's very straightforward, but it shows how to beat Supreme Leader Kylo even after Jedi Luke has been nerfed, and it works. I've done it a couple times on this account, and it can get messy, but it works. And if you do that, if you're facing someone with Supreme Leader Kylo, then you also, if this is my one Galactic Legend, I have Jedi Master Luke, and he is capable of taking out a Supreme Leader Kylo as well with this comp below. And keep in mind, these are just the Jedi I have available. You could probably replace Ki-Adi Mundi with like Ezra or something like that if you don't have him Ki-Adi-Mundi is really in need of a lot of relic levels. Honestly, he needs to be boosted, but, you know, same with Jolie, and we'll talk about all that in a different video, and same with Grandmaster Yoda, gosh, all these guys, but all of these characters here are, like, they can be mixed and matched, guys. You can, it's very nice to be able to have a lot of Jedi teams. In fact, I want to make a video for my main about how if you use the Jedi kind of offensive strategy, then you're able to kind of mix and match and be really flexible on offense. And then, you know, like, you just have to figure out, like, okay, if I'm going to take this team, then I have these other Jedi available to do this, and some of them will have a diminished role, etc. But, like, the Jedi Luke team here can also take down, if I wanted to, I could take down Jedi Knight or Jedi Master Kenobi if I just reapportion some of these characters. Like, if I have Jedi Master Luke and let's see, what would I take? I'd take Luke and Revan and Jedi Knight Luke, and then probably Hoda, and I'd take Cam, I think. And that's another reason Cam needs more relics, but I'd need to do that. But then if I did that, then who would be available for, like, that would take all of my good leadership, so I'd need to make a team under Bastila to be able to take other teams down, but I would still have two good teams, and I'd be able to take down Jedi Master Kenobi in the process. So, something to be thinking about. Jedi on offense together can be mixed and matched if you kind of make sure that you have it mapped out. Let me get a drink. All right, drink has been had. Now, let's move on. I like both of these teams for offense, by the way, guys, just because on defense, you're not as flexible. All right, next up, we have Darth Revan, and if you have Darth Talon, or you want to get her up, one of the nice things on defense, if you put this Darth Revan team on defense, it's nice if you have Darth Talon. I'm not saying that's going to be her ending spot or ending point, but it is nice because she's going to give a boost to your Darth Revan team so that you outspeed Imperial troopers. Darth Revan teams, however, are really cool, but just because they're able to, on offense, just destroy other people. Like, so you'll note everyone is relic 0 here. They should all definitely have more relic levels now that we can just throw caution to the wind and put relics on whoever we want. But we can right now, just to be efficient. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of my wins actually come from just Darth Revan and Dark Basti working together, and if you can kind of time it so that you get fear, and then you get multiple debuffs from Basti, and then your opponent all goes, and they can't do anything because they were feared, then Darth Revan goes, he calls lightning from the sky, and rends his opponents, then Basti targets one of them with shock. She can usually just take out the whole team, even if it's a 5-man team. And if you manage to make that happen, then you get a 63, and you can even use Malak to, like, solo a team like Padme or something like that. And then Sith Marauder just sits around on his own and bees sad. He goes and pilots his ship, is what he does, because that's the only other use for him. But he's pretty good with other Sith as well, I guess. So that team is great for offense, great for defense. You want a fast Darth Revan. And if you have Darth Talon, keep in mind, if you do put Darth Talon on this team, and we'll all collectively make fun of the people who don't listen to it, but if you put Darth Talon on this team, yes, she'll make him 372 speed. You'll also be giving up your bonus crit damage. Because if all allies are Sith Empire at the start of the battle, Sith Empire allies have plus 50% crit damage. So if Darth Talon is in with them, she is not Sith Empire, and therefore you will be missing out on that extra damage. So keep that in mind as you move forward. General Grievous is great for offense. He's great for defense at this level as well, because people don't know exactly what to take against him. You want everyone relic. You probably want him at more relics than this, honestly, but he doesn't need that much more. I think I'm going to be putting more relics on Grievous himself just to make my malevolence counter to Executor a little bit more robust, a little bit better. So you'll have that. You do want Newt on here. He's the best 5th character on the team. The other 4 are pretty obvious in a 5v5 situation. You can put BB-8 here, I suppose, but I mean, my Jedi training raid team was already hurt enough. We probably just want to leave this team as is. I like it on offense, like it on defense. I'm guessing this will be a more defensive team for me actually this time, because people haven't developed enough. Like Bad Batch would work on this team, but not a lot of people at this level have Bad Batch available. So, you know, if Bad Batch doesn't work, then Mon Mothma works. Except not enough people. I wouldn't take my Mon Mothma team against this. There's just no way. And so people end up having to use a Jedi revan counter or stronger against it. In which case, like Jedi revan, you can drop a ton of banners if you're not careful, if your grievous team is modded well, etc. Now this Padme squad here, you can note that I have Cat here, Commander Ahsoka Tano, and it's really nice to be able to, I like in 3v3 throwing Cat in here and not having snips, because people, they look so similar that people will mistake it. Now having both of them in here is pretty obvious. I like them on defense actually, unless someone, I don't know, like, I don't think that this team is going to end up, like, people can counter it with Commander Luke. You need to scout your opponents. Basically, is what I should be saying is you should scout your opponents. I don't have General Kenobi, or sorry, I don't have Jedi Master Kenobi. So this team is actually pretty good just on its own. Like it can be complete. If I had Master Kenobi, then he'd want Cat, he'd want Kenobi, and probably Snips, and then we'd have a Padme. The Padme team would turn into a Sadme team, and which is fine, but Cat probably should have more relics, etc. This team can do a lot of cool things. The problem with it is, on offense, it is not efficient at all, and you're not going to get great banners because you don't have a way to regenerate protection. So typically, in a tough fight, you can expect to get a 55 or worse on this team. There's a lot of good healing in it, and it stays around for a long time because Cat does some crazy things, but at the end of the day, this team isn't a great offensive team. Well, it's great on offense. I wouldn't say it's great banners offensively, though. Now, this Bosk team, one thing I will say, guys, though, the Omicron I'm looking at hardest right now for both of my accounts is the Zam Omicron, because she can, once she gets to relic levels and you put enough good mods on her, she can boost her team by like 80 speed and give them a huge, enormous boost in GAC for offense. You can see they're all relic 0 again, trying to do the banner efficiency thing, but this is the core of the team. We can have Jango go with either Separatists or Mandalorians. Regardless, he doesn't need to be with bounty hunters anymore. He's moved on. He's transcended the scum that are bounty hunters, but under Bosk lead, it's great with Zam and everyone. Now, the other build that I do have available on this account, I have a Gear 10 or a Sing, which I can swap out. You want Bosk to be fast and Grief to be fast. However, if you put the Omicron on Zam and you make her fast enough, then they don't need to be fast anymore. That's the fancy part, is that saves you speed mods, which is really cool. And it also makes you unprepared for territory wars, so that's also fun. Next up is Geos. I've been putting some work into Geos lately. I need to get Soldier to Gear 12, obviously Poggle, like both of them are close, but Spy especially should be at Gear 12. I mean, really, I should have had Spy at Gear 13 a long time ago, but this team is good on offense or defense. The reason I like it on defense is because if people don't have a specific team to counter it, then they can just lose. Now, one thing I have been planning on doing, I haven't done it yet on my account, but I am going to be putting more tenacity, especially on the Geo Brood Alpha, so that Darth Vader, when he goes, a lot of times people aren't stacking potency on him anymore, and therefore, if you have a high enough tenacity on the Brood Alpha, it makes it so that he can't get any of his debuffs on, and he is kind of the go-to counter to Geos at this level. And if Vader doesn't work, like, first off, you get a hold, which is great, but second off, you also, like, if people don't have a specific way to beat Geos at this level, then they are out of luck. You can't Zerg it down, and that's why you want to get everyone up to Gear 12, because at Gear 11, like, people could just one-shot some of these guys. Like, the Soldier is not a paragon of hardiness, of resilience. Look at this. It's terrible. It's terrifying. I mean, he gets another, 20 or 30k from the Brood Alpha every time, but that's still, like, a lot of Gear 12 characters will be able to, like the stronger attackers could just one-shot him. So, you know, we need more relic levels. Plus, we want Sunfac, no, not Sunfac, we want Spy especially to be good for that Malevolence counter to Executor. Now, another team that surprises people, I like to have my Ewoks. Guys, I would recommend, honestly, and know that it sucks, it doesn't feel great, I would get your Ewoks to Gear 11, at least even at this level, especially at lower levels, though you'll see my Prevail Man account has it too. They are so surprisingly strong, because people don't expect Paplu to be as good as he is. Now, obviously, I'm only Gear 11 here, and I should probably make him 13 and give him a few pieces, but he gets, so 221 speed looks pretty bad, actually, and it's not great, but the awesome thing about it, guys, is he has plus 25% speed when he doesn't have taunt. He doesn't start with taunt, so therefore he's plus 25% speed, and therefore he gains another, 55 speed to this, and so this still isn't that fast. I think I've slowed him down quite a bit. I should actually at this point get more speed on him, but if people don't expect, I mean, you can easily get him to 300 speed, and then people take their whatever team, they're like, oh, whatever, we'll just nuke the stupid Ewoks, because I always nuke them, and as long as this team goes first, if Paplu goes first, then you're out of luck. The turn meter train has started, and the gate, like, this team really just takes it to you. This is a team I get consistently 3 or 4 holds, maybe even sometimes way more than that in a season, because people don't know how to respect Ewoks the way they should. The second you learn how to disrespect Ewoks, things get a lot better, of course, but this team is a lot better than people give it credit for. You do need some relic levels, though, or some gear levels, just to make it so that they're not one-shot by anything under the sun. Now, the next team are Troopers. This is absolutely an offensive team, and really the whole apparatus is having a fast Piet, so you want him at relics if you can, and a Dark Trooper who can punch things in the face really well. Relic 2 is what I had him at. Now I'll probably get him up to at least 5. He is, in this whole engine, I mean, Range Trooper at Gear 9 seems problematic Stark. It doesn't matter. As long as you can bridge the speed gap, you guys can search for how to start an Imperial Troopers team. I need to update that as well. Tons of videos I need to update to include Dark Trooper, but the math has remained the same. Next up, we have a Bando team. This is one that I've been throwing a lot of gear on with Wild Abandon, which is probably unwise given the other teams that I need to be working on, but I do need Beskar to be good. If I want to get an Executor fleet, then I need to have a good Razor Crest. So, and having a good Bando is nice to have. With him, it's nice to have a good IG and Queel. You typically want to have a fast Queel, and this team is really great on defense right now just because people will be underestimating it at Gear 12. Beskar needs to have as many relic levels as you can provide him, frankly, so that I'm trying to slowly get him there. You can see I even put his finisher on. That's the way I signal to people that I'm going to get him up to Gear 13 is, okay, his finisher's on. I have to get him there because that's the most expensive piece. So this team is going to probably be on defense this season, but probably at some point it'll make the transition. We'll start making the transition to having a heavier defense and a more versatile and fun offense. So these three, the Bando trio, are really good, and then you just want 2 scoundrels that can do AoEs, and at this point I have Dengar on IG-88 that aren't doing anything because they can't fit into a good bounty hunter team for this account at least, but they still can provide some value. So just make sure that Bando is the second fastest on the team, that he has as much offense as you can, including an arrow. And then, so Queel's going to go first if you can swing it. I don't think I have anyone clocked on this account yet, but Queel would go first, theoretically. Bando would go into poop stance. The rest would do their AoEs to give him whistling birds. Then Bando would go again, nuke everyone, and then it's a free-for-all. But note, I don't have Nest on this team because we need Nest for offense to be able to start soloing teams as well. Now we have Nightsisters here. Nightsisters are nice because they can take down Geos if they need to. Even at this level, they can. You want a Relic Daka with her Zeta. You want a double Zeta Talzin. And then a single Zeta Asajj is probably fine. You don't need her leadership. But then Gear 10 on Zombie, just fine. I've never noticed a need for higher than that unless you want her for other things. But otherwise, this team is pretty good. Like, Spirit's nice to, if you put relics on her, she hits like a truck, but that's not absolutely necessary. This team punches way above its weight on offense. The only problem is, as I've pointed out on a few other teams, you don't get a lot of great banner recovery. The Bando team above, by the way, does have really good banner recovery. If you want to keep it for offense, you just have to make sure you can kill things. There's just not enough offense on that team without a high relic Beskar. So, ironically, the Beskar team can actually just nuke a Nightsister team really nicely because it makes it so that no one can revive. The Nightsisters team is an extremely versatile team to be able to beat a lot of different squads on offense, but the problem is on offense that they only get 55 banners at best. Sometimes you get lucky and Nightsister Spirit has foresight up enough times that they don't actually do damage to her, but that's not something to count on. This is a 55 banner team, and in the world of wanting 60 banners, it can be a little bit tough. So the Nightsister team, pretty good, but probably want to keep it on. I don't know. I'm gonna put it on defense to start with, at least. If you get a really fast Nightsister Spirit, it can make life very difficult. Asajj starts with a plus 105 speed as well, so if you make Asajj really fast, she can mess with troopers and stuff depending on who you're facing and how fast their Piet is, or Stark for that matter. Treya, you can see I did put Darth Talon on this team. I didn't put her Zeta on yet because, I mean, I could put the Zeta on, but Darth Talon is really good with Treya. Obviously, this Treya team is not super high level, as you can see, but Darth Talon is able to make them all a little bit faster, a little more resilient. Probably going to put this on defense, to be honest, guys, because people don't know how to beat Treya, and with Talon, that's going to mess with people. They may be able to kill Talon right away, but keep in mind, Talon is also giving them plus 20 speed, so that might mess things up, and I guess we'll just see. I'm not convinced that this is going to work out well. I will be leveling up Talon to probably gear 11 in coming days before the GAC comes, so she'll be a little bit better prepared. And actually, the way I modded her right now, because she's only gear 8, and even when she's gear 11, I just put all the protection on her that she can get. Just protection on all the different primaries. Didn't worry about speed, because you just want her passive buffs to be given to everyone else. And she's the one who's just kind of, she's just going to hang out there and help Treya and company win fights. So we may get to a point where we have this Vader team, and this works against like Geos. It works against a lot of teams. You can kind of, Palp doesn't need to be here really. A lot of times Watt doesn't need to be here. Sometimes Thrawn doesn't either. You just need to figure out where you want to be. Now you probably do want more relics than just 3 on Vader, just because his ship is good and because he hits harder, obviously. But he doesn't need to be. He's been doing okay for me here. I need to remod. This whole account needs a little bit of a touch-up with mods, but I do have put a lot of potency on him because the idea is you want control, and over time those dots stack up, and you're able to take them out as long as you have the lead Zeta, which you probably should, and otherwise, you can see Thrawn is Relic 0, Watt's Relic 0. Again, me just subscribing to that same idea. Palp would be great at Relic 0 as well, just because he has a second Zeta, and the next step of protection is pretty nice to be able, and then you get another 50% from that second Zeta, which isn't a Zeta I would recommend until much later, frankly. But it is what it is. It's already on there. And the thing about Vader is, on defense, this team isn't that good. On offense, this team can get you some really good banners, and the more you practice with it, the better you're going to be. I do fully expect us to get a Mara Jade buff from, like, I think Mara Jade's going to come into the game and give Palpatine his own cool squad. So stay tuned for that. We'll see how that goes. But until then, I think Vader lead, Palp lead can work too. Sometimes Thrawn lead. This team is very versatile, takes down a lot of teams. Very definitely an offensive team though. And just to be clear, guys, the Treya team is good on offense as well. You just drop a lot of banners. There's no protection recovery, and therefore you can get a 55, sometimes a 56, if Scion decides to get the right hit at the right time with his special. But otherwise, this is a 56, 55 waiting to happen. Maybe you can take down a couple characters and just have the trio, in which case it gets a lot dicier if you're low gear levels like me. So there's that. Now there's this Kira Nest team. Typically, I wouldn't put Kira with Nest. Frankly, I don't think that that's warranted. I don't think that's necessary. But if you need Nest to be able to solo a really good team, Kira is going to die, but her leadership is going to remain. And at this level, usually someone's going to be placing a team that Nest can solo. And this leadership is really nice because it gives her stacks of offense, because Nest is an attacker. But then whenever they score a critical hit, they recover 10% protection. And so whenever they score a critical hit, it's super nice. They also gain critical chance. I mean, it is just a really nice boost for Nest. Kira's going to die, so you drop 3 banners immediately, and you drop a 4th banner for actually including Kira. So, like, Nest can get a 63 on her own. If Kira's there with her, Kira dies, the max then becomes 62, but then if Kira dies, which she's going to, then your max is 59, and that's not above the max. Like, typically you just want Nest to be able to solo on her own, but doesn't always happen that way. Kira's nice if you need her, so I'm included her. Otherwise, I don't use Kira at all on this account. Now, we have this crew team with General Hux. I've been trying to boost General Hux a little bit so he doesn't just get one shot. He's also nice because my finalizer is getting close to 7 stars over the course of time. And you can pull up First Order Officer here instead of Executioner or Red Trooper. I do think Red Trooper is probably a little bit better than Fox at this point, even a gear 10, just because he's always assisting, and he's got that cleanse. For Sword Executioner does have ramping damage, however, so that's nice. This is a good team on defense and or offense. If you want to put some more relic levels on Kylo Ren, that also works really nicely, because then he can start soloing teams like some of the garbage I'm going to be showing you in just a minute. But this team is very good on offense and on defense. On offense, it's nice because you have a lot of good banner recovery. A lot of the time, though, you're only going to be taking OG Kylo anyways to be able to solo a team, and the rest of the team kind of just sits back. So you could, the best version of this team is what I'm showing you. However, if you wanted to, you could probably replace OG Kylo with like First Order Officer, who's really easy to get to gear 11, and then you can have a team that kind of sits there. It denies turn meter gain, so like a few teams that want to counter it won't be able to, and people just get surprised at how much damage Fox does, how much damage the Red Trooper does, and they recover a lot of banners and stuff. OG Kylo can solo a team. It's kind of nice. I like him on offense or defense. Either one. I would typically not do Hux lead, honestly. I like crew lead better in this circumstance, just because of the banner recovery and just making it really resilient. Now, this Mando team is a really mixed bag for me. You can tell because it's a mixed bag. Now, I do have the Zeta on Sabine. All of them have Zetas except for Canderous' Zeta, which is actually way better than people give it credit for. I'm not saying it's a great one, but it is significantly better. It's actually worthwhile, a little bit at least. But under Bo-Katan, it's good. This team is good. Ish. You want a fast armor, which I don't have. Obviously, gear 8 can't be that fast because it can't have 6E mods, and I don't have all the pieces of gear that make her faster. But if you can make your armor faster, if you can make the armor fastest on the team, then you're going to be able to accomplish a lot. Now, I probably have a faster Jango than anyone else, so my Jango would probably go, and probably because of Bo-Katan, Canderous would assist at least once, and then Canderous would probably start getting turn meter gain, and you can start running the train. This is probably going to be a defensive team for me, because people get surprised. I do think armor needs to be boosted. There's so many characters that need boosts, but guys, if you haven't farmed armor yet, you need to do that. That is a really important thing. It really is. She is really, really good with Galactic Legends, with Mandalorians, etc. she is just going to be used a lot in the future. The way she can be used, she's one of those just highly functional characters that can be used in a variety of different places. One of the best plug-and-play characters in the game, right next to Watt and Gideon and stuff. Next up, we have so we're getting into the dregs, guys. I made this roster based off of just whatever was on the top of the list, and so in terms of like GP and availability and everything, like things that, so like if I saw Jango, then I made a team surrounding Jango. But we have this team that is like it's full of requirements. We needed Relic 3 on all of them to get where they're at. I've actually been considering putting a couple Relic levels on Rolo and giving her the Zeta, in fact, just because she does more damage with the just because she just does way more damage with her AoE. It's not as good in 5v5. 3v3, her AoE is actually much better than people give it credit for. This team is definitely a defensive team. One thing that you can be sneaky about if you really want, that Biggs and Wedge actually have a secret speed synergy that people don't really see that often, like they don't think about it much. But what it is, I think, is it Red Leader? Yeah, so Wedge is plus 12, so he has plus 9 speed for each ally with full health. And then, so he's in 5v5, this is especially effective. So, and Biggs also gets this, so you can get, I think it's Biggs that can be really fast. I haven't done this yet, but you can make Wedge, even right now, so he's got, for each ally with full health, so that probably, I don't know if that includes him, I think it does, so that's plus 45 speed. So if you have some kind of other, you could also like take Akbar lead, actually, who gives him plus 28 speed, I believe, and make this team significantly faster. Just make a really fast Biggs or something, and you can start, I don't know how much turn meter you're going to get, but like you can get a surprising a surprising amount of speed on this team if you want to be a little bit tricksy. I don't know if it's really that worthwhile, but because they're all relic, it might actually be fun to surprise people. It's like kind of like the Ewok surprise. People don't, it's also like the Spanish Inquisition. People don't expect it. So, okay, we have this really awkward Karth team. It's not a good team, really. I think this is the final one, though. I was surprised when I got to 22 that we have this Karth team, and then I'll show you guys what's in the bottom here. But the Karth team, not great, but you do have a pre-taunt, or it's not a pre-taunt, but a passive taunt with Zalbar, but I do have the Zetas on everyone, because this account accumulates Zetas faster than it accumulates characters who really care about using them. And so you have the taunt, you have Mission and Zalbar obviously have their cool synergy. Karth provides a lot of cool mechanics for Mission and Zalbar. And then Droideka and Cad Bane, they're not great, but they're characters that I have at decent gear levels that can do a decent amount of attack and amount of damage and have good functionality. Like Droideka can take care of itself, heal itself, prevent damage from itself. Cad Bane has a really cool like no miss dispel with his stun attempt. He can do a double tap, he can do a lot of cool stuff. He kind of operates independently of everyone else. And so this team isn't great. It'll go on defense and probably give my opponent something close to 61 or 62 banners, but you need to throw some of these teams in there. Now, finally, we have all of these other characters that are going to just end up being part of the equation, because not everyone's defense and not everyone's offense is going to be the exact same. We need to be able to be prepared for a lot of things. IPD is really nice in certain circumstances, not only to explode and just take someone out with his hit. Now that works really well with Emperor Palpatine, actually, by the way. If Palpatine goes, he can do his healing, or his team heal, and everyone it takes 5% health from everyone. And then Probe Droid goes, and he's at 100% health, and he can go and explode. So that works. Otherwise, he's good with his Dispel. I do have his Zeta on him, apparently, so I don't know why I put his Zeta on. I must have been drunk. Not that I get drunk off him, but Ezra is a nice plug-and-play Jedi character, or he can go with a lot of other teams. You can put his Zeta on just to give him extra damage on one of his hits that, the cooldowns refresh pretty quick. He's a good character, actually. He's decent. We were talking about him on the Gambit roundtable the other day, earlier tonight, actually, but he is very good in some circumstances. Just don't expect too much from him. The Imperial TIE Pilot, I mean, or the TIE Fighter pilot, we have to get him to relics to be able to get Executor. So, but I don't mind. His ship is actually pretty good, and for a lot of different reasons, and he does some good damage. Like we're just primed, guys. I think we're gonna get a Mara Jade team, and hopefully, like, we can find a home for a TIE Fighter pilot, because he's really fast. Actually, you can make him really fast. Obviously, you want 6E mods on him for his ship and everything, etc. Moff Gideon is good. He's one of the best plug-and-play characters in the game, just because you can reduce all of that turn meter and make it so that your own team goes first. And then Wampa, of course, also really good and versatile, takes down a lot of rebel teams. And don't try to throw him at Commander Luke, but put the good Zeta on him and move forward. And he's a guy that sometimes you use, sometimes you're like, oh man, that stinks, I didn't get to use him. He could easily go on this Karth team, just because he benefits from all the damage over times that Karth, Mission, and Zalbar are going to be generating. Or he could go on a team that has Watt with it, because you didn't need Watt for your Darth Vader team. Or you can go with whoever. He could go with Moff Gideon. You just don't know. Like his AoE days, he's got so many cool things in his kit. He's very worthwhile to have available and ready, but he's not ever really part of my main attack strategy, if that makes sense. So anyways, this video is already super duper long, and I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope this was helpful to some of you at least. And so yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.